Just two adjacent girls living in a lovely world. They took a podcast train going anywhere, but kind of specifically through Austin, Texas. Yeah, hook 'em horns.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome to Adjacent. Today we are back in studio with our friend Marco that we were in awe of, inspired by, and just all around felt such a great connection with.
Agreed. And he's written a book.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about his book a lot in July.
Yes.
But he has more to share. He has so much more to share, and we want to hear it.
So his book is You're Unforgettable, a memoir about being seen and learning to see others. And we're so glad you came all the way up here north of the river to come and hang with us.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
we know that those Southies don't like going north of the river.
It's hard. It's hard.
Thank you
That's
for coming
correct.
this way.
Thank you for having me.
We felt like in our last interview that we wanted to touch a little more on your schooling and how educators had an impact in your life. Can we start there?
Absolutely. So I grew up in a challenged home. I think I kind of highlight that in the book a little bit.
Absolutely.
But I don't go into it a lot because it's pretty easy to write a trauma story, but that's not the purpose of the book. The purpose of the book was to elevate people who had seen me when I hadn't been seen before, and it had lifted me up above my circumstances. So that was the focus of the book, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to talk about it today. So what was very interesting about school was peaceful as opposed to my home life. There weren't people yelling and shouting. You got praised for doing good. You were encouraged a lot of times when things didn't go quite right, which was a significant change and improvement. So I responded well to encouragement, and I found that in elementary school especially. You were encouraged to do well, to do your best, and you always had another opportunity to make improvements. So that was an exciting place for me. And my third grade teacher, Miss Dalton, she was a master encourager. My fourth grade teacher was very encouraging. By the time I hit fifth grade, I was in the safety patrol. And the safety patrol leader, I don't know what it was about him, but he saw something in me. And I was never in his class, but he'd encouraged me to run for student council president. He saw some leadership ability. And he really left a mark. He was the only man in my entire elementary school that was an educator. So it was very different for me. And he was the first man in my life that modeled what a good man looked like. Looking back and now learning more about him, he was an Eagle Scout. He served his community, he served in his church, and he served the students. And that included me.
What a beautiful model.
Yeah.
That's lovely. It's so powerful how one person comes into your life and changes how you feel about yourself and where your life goes from that encounter.
So you said that these educators, you felt like saw this in you. Did it start to make you see it in yourself?
I guess over time it did, but when I started performing well in school, that's really what made a difference. So Miss Dalton was the first person who had talked to me about potential, and she saw more potential in me, and she encouraged me. So when an adult brings praise to you that you're unfamiliar with, you're not exactly sure where to put it, but she was consistent. And the thing about her is I never felt alone in her class. There were other students, but she followed my performance. She gave me constructive words, and she always knew where I was. Then it made a real difference in my life.
So do you feel like she had the most profound effect on the trajectory of your life after being in her class?
Miss Dalton has an effect on my daily life to this moment. There's not a second of my life that hasn't been impacted by her. So she was the one that taught me the value of hard work.
Hmm.
She taught me a lot more than math. She taught me life skills. She taught me how to set goals. She taught me how to work towards them, even ones that seemed impossible. And she taught me that over time, hard work and diligence can make things look like a miracle in your life. And that's what happened to me. So I applied those lessons to all areas of my life. I applied it when I was in the military. I worked really hard. When I got out, I worked really hard. As a small business owner, I worked very hard. And now I'm battling multiple sclerosis, and I'm working really hard. So right now I'm learning to walk for the 4th time, and it's not easy. Each time has been harder because there's more damage. So there's more to overcome. And one of my therapists has already told me to give up because it was impossible. He doesn't realize my 3rd grade teacher believed in me.
Mm-hmm.
She's no longer here,
Mm-hmm.
but the lessons she taught me are. So
It's
yeah,
so amazing that you give so much credit to the lessons that she taught you. I wonder if a lot of this was deep down in you wanting to get out, and maybe she just kind of opened the
Jody,
spigot a little.
you can't acknowledge this, but educators, I mean, we did a whole post on it, and so many people shared heartfelt feelings about how an educator changed their lives.
yeah,
And that's where Marco and I connected. Jody can't take the praise
yeah,
of how many lives that she changed for the
right.
good. And it's so hard for them to accept that 1 year in your classroom changed how they see themselves.
Yeah.
And that was a safe place for them. And I think that's what
Yes.
this whole book talks about, is that, I mean, even when the teacher had a misstep and was not the nicest person,
Yeah.
there was a lesson there, and you
Sure.
took it and you learned from it in such a beautiful way.
Mm-hmm.
Your core is there, and the teachers had the ability to enhance it or take it down. But even when that teacher tried to take you down, those other teachers had made you so strong that you had the other support of other educators that were like, no, you're wrong, Missy, and you need to back up. And
I like to think of it like this. All the people that enter our lives, like, they can enhance it or they can subtract from it, right?
Yes.
And so I feel like this, like, think of it like a water spigot. The water is there. Your foundation, your amazing skill, your ability, all of that is there. Somebody could turn one spigot and it just flows with incredibleness, and it's like lifting you up and doing great stuff. There could be other one that turns that other valve, and then it could make it like not so great. Maybe it just determines, like, and then you could either decide to go with the good and keep that lifting like you have and working hard to be the best person you can be. Or you could have allowed that other person who's messing with that other side to, like, bring you down even further. I think what I'm so in awe of with you is that you chose positivity because you had some negative in your life from your childhood,
Yes.
from your upbringing, from your home life. but you allowed someone to reach in and find that good in you and bring it out of that water spigot that's in there, that little, those valves.
Such a teacher comment.
I know.
It's like, she's like, oh, it's all you, it's all you, it's all you. But somebody turned on the spigot.
You just
and we
needed to
wanna
know that
applaud
spigot could
the spigot
unlock.
turner on her. That's
great.
what he wants.
I love it. I love that you're giving Miss Dalton her flowers. She deserves
Yes.
it too.
So I already talked to a friend of mine about Jody.
Yes.
So she's a retired teacher.
Yes.
And so I was telling her about her. And her only comment was, special ed teachers are saints. So
yes. They,
Well,
they're one of a kind.
I loved in the book how you, said that she saw you where you were at and she kept like saying, okay,
Pushing.
he's got this. I'm going to give him more. I'm going to see
Yes.
what he can take. How far can I push this guy?
Yeah.
And at first you were like, more work, how you were brought up, more work equaled punishment.
Yes.
But what you realized is like, no,
They
she's
see
helping me
me.
to like, I can do more. I can go
Yeah.
further. I can really enhance my skills. So, I mean, the fact that you were allowing that to happen shows just such an openness on your part. So I love that.
Okay.
I love that she found you where you were at, but I also love that you were willing to take those lessons
Yes,
in.
for
'Cause
sure.
a lot of people would be like, that's too much work.
For sure.
words of encouragement were a gift that she had.
Yeah.
She
Yes.
encouraged all her kids, not just me. So
Wow.
very special lady.
Yeah. Oh, I just, I want to find her and like, I know she's passed, but
Yes.
like, I want to tell her kids
Well,
how
I
incredible she's been.
agreed. And I want all educators to hear this, is that you have the power to turn on the spigot.
Yeah.
You have the power to enhance the flow of this water.
Yeah.
Y'all have that power. And that is,
Yes.
don't take that for granted.
No way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember going to school, Marco, and feeling like the same way you did. It was like a place that I felt so comfortable. It was a place that made me shine in my way. I loved it. I loved school.
Yes. It was a very safe place for
Very
us.
safe place for us,
Yes.
for
Well,
sure.
when you think about kids, we all have different needs. And you take a kid that's very shy, they have very different needs than a gifted student or someone that's physically different or someone that has, some troubles. That last person, they might need very firm boundaries and tough love. They might resent you at the time, but looking back over their life, they're like, that was a turning point. That teacher changed my life,
Mhm.
even though I hated them at the time.
Mhm.
So I really think teachers can change the trajectory of lives. They can encourage you to reach higher levels than you ever could have done
Mm.
without them.
True.
That's the beauty of educators.
I love that.
Can we get into, I'm sorry to shift, but I think it all comes back together. If you don't mind, after school, you joined the military.
Yes.
Can we get into that? Because I do think all the lessons you learned here had such a major role in that part of your life and your current situation. Because
Okay.
these stories are still a main character in your story.
True.
So what would you like to know about my military experience?
Yes.
Okay, when did you join the military?
So I went to the University of Texas for 1 year and I was not happy at all. So I joined a year after graduation.
Right.
And you're in Desert Storm.
Correct.
And what branch of military?
I was in the United States Army.
Okay. You were in the Army. And so you signed up, and then where did you do boot camp?
I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay.
So, and then after that, I went to Fort Sam, Houston. In my recruiting, they showed us videos of what we were supposed to do. And they showed me videos of being in a hospital and working with doctors in a lab coat. And when I graduated from AIT, they actually sent me to an infantry unit, completely different. So there were no lab coats where I served. Very, very different.
Interesting. So do you feel like they were trying to sell it with propaganda and kind of suit your brain because you were so good in math and you were so skilled? Do you feel like you were there was like a bait and switch situation?
It wasn't exactly bait and switch because some people that I graduated with did have that life, but those videos are definitely marketing videos as opposed to this is what everyone will
Reality.
experience. Yeah. Reality is a little bit different.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I think that unfortunately that happens everywhere, not just in the military.
Yeah.
You see it with propaganda on like hair products or makeup or whatever.
And most businesses aren't going, hey, you're going to have to work 90 hours a week.
Right.
You know, they're showing you the cafeteria and the
Yes.
extras. They're
Yeah.
not showing you,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to be sitting at a computer.
Yeah, or you're going to be like boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you were moved into infantry, is what you're saying.
And I was assigned to an infantry unit. Yes.
hmm And what was that like for you?
Well, it was a lot of work. So we were in the light infantry, which means we didn't have a lot of vehicles. So we depended on our feet. So if I'd gone to the hospital, I would have worked 8 to 4, very structured. And the infantry unit was a little bit different because we'd often get woken up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and we'd put in a 15 or 25 mile an hour march. And we'd come home and get dressed and go to work. It was just different. We deployed a lot. We trained a lot. But the good side of that is we saw a lot of the country. We had a lot of experiences. We had some overseas deployments. So some of my friends who went to the hospital, they don't have a lot of stories. I have a lot of stories. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mhm.
How long did you serve in Desert Storm?
So Desert Storm was from, I got there in October and I left in April of 91.
And what was your experience like in Desert Storm?
We did a lot of waiting initially. So there was a buildup. Saddam Hussein had invaded Kuwait, and within a week we had military forces in the area. But the actual assault didn't start until January. So there were months. At maximum, our population had almost 700,000 people. It takes a long time to get that many people in country. So we did a lot of waiting.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then after the waiting was done, what happened?
The Air Force went in and quite frankly, they kicked some butt. And then by the time our ground forces started, really within 100 hours, the war was over and Kuwait was liberated. So it was amazing. It was beautiful. And it's a victory that most soldiers never get to experience. So when you look back at history, recent, after the war wars, our soldiers came back, our military people came back as heroes. But between the end of World War II and even current day, Desert Storm veterans are the only ones who came back to a celebration. Very different experience.
Right. Wow. So you saw a country that was taken over by an insurgents and government, and then you guys came in and you liberated the country from the insurgents that had taken over. And then when you came, how long were you there before you came back after their liberation?
So they got liberated in February. And one of the pictures of my book are of kids who are waving American flags. You see their pictures. They're the happiest people in the world. And that is the memory of all memories for my military that gives me the most comfort because we delivered those children a future they would not have had otherwise. So after the conflict was over, I was still there for 2.5 months.
Okay. And what happened after the 2.5 months that you were after the liberation? What were y'all doing during that time?
We were doing cleanup and repair. There were still hundreds of oil wells that were on fire. People were fighting those. to get redeployed. All the equipment has to be cleaned and sanitized. So there was just a redeployment effort that had to take place.
Wow.
Huh.
So when you came back to the States, what was it like for you?
It was very interesting. So um, our plane actually got redirected on the way in. They woke us up and they told us to get dressed and try to look as best as we can. And we didn't understand what was going on. We were tired and wanting to get home. But what had actually happened is they directed us to a victory parade. So we got there about 11:30 at night, and they took us into a gym, and the gym was packed with people. It was crazy. And we walked in, and they treated us like heroes. There was a lot of celebration that happened, and it was an amazing experience. Um, when they say you have, a few minutes of fame, that was a few minutes of fame for us. Uh, it was good just to see the country come together and celebrate us. I think part of that was leftover guilt from the way Vietnam veterans were treated and how
Yes.
poorly they were. So we were an excuse to kind of change that narrative. And so it was a real blessing. Then I got home, and after I came home, my family was at the airport. I flew in with another soldier, and he was really excited because his family was going to be at the airport. I said, mine is too. So we departed the plane, and he had 3 people there. And my family was probably over 200 people at the airport.
Oh my gosh.
So there was a small difference. So my family was very excited to have me home. And then after home, I went to my dad's work to thank the people there who had been supporting me. And I went to my elementary school, and I met with the
I saw
kids who
that.
had been writing me notes of support while I was
So
there.
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that had a lasting effect on you as well.
And them.
Yes.
And them to see
Yeah.
a soldier come home.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
How did your relationship with your dad change after you joined the Army and went to war?
My dad missed me. So they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. I think while I was away, the value he had on me was different. So my dad served in the Navy, so he had an idea of what my experience was like. And there was, I think, a level of respect that was gained after that. And he just treated me differently.
Right.
Was your dad in Vietnam?
My dad was not in Vietnam.
Okay.
He's older.
Mhm. Okay. How did it feel getting messages from home while you were in battle or in training for battle?
It was a highlight of our day. So like I said, I think some of our treatment was because the way the Vietnam veterans were treated. So there was a Dear Any Soldier campaign, and people from all over the country would send us letters. Our unit would go to the post office, and they literally handed us stacks of anonymous email.
Wow.
So we took that very seriously in my tent, and we would go and we'd get mail, and we would start sorting it. And we would say, okay, this person is from Georgia. Who's from Georgia? And so we would try to kind of match the letter to somebody. And we would write. And we'd spend 2 or 3 hours every night writing people from home.
Wow.
It was really special. There was one young lady who she started writing me. And I don't know, she was maybe 16 or 17 at the time, but she was very consistent. And it was nice to have a connection. About a month ago, we actually reconnected, and she remembers things about that time that I do not remember.
Really?
So it was really neat.
How
So I'm really
fun.
excited to see her life is flourishing, and it's
Good.
just special.
Oh, I love that. That's
No,
so
I love this
sweet.
community you've built. It's so
Wow.
beautiful. It's so lovely.
Incredible.
It's very inspiring.
How did you change after the war?
I think just overall being in the military, you become more disciplined. For me, I was more serious. So, one of my friends harasses me because he says, well, how did you get so serious? And it's like, well, these are life and death consequences out here. People are paying real sacrifices, so it means a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I think more than anything, I became a little bit more stoic. I listen more than I talk now. So, and I learn more.
That's lovely. So not to jump too far ahead, but after military service, you had your own business. Can you
Yes.
reiterate to us what your business was at that time?
So I started working in IT in support, and then I became a consultant. And I worked, I did a lot of government work and working for the state and the federal government, or just working on their computer systems.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like some of your Dalton days helped you to prepare for that job that you created, that business that you created?
I think anybody who's willing to work hard has an advantage over people who don't, right?
I agree.
It doesn't matter what you do. If
Agreed.
you're willing to roll up your sleeves and put in the work, it counts.
It does. Yes. I agree with
Agreed. I
always-
see it every day.
that. It's like you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the work ethic, it's only going to take you so far.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
Agreed.
it
And
has
a
to
little
be
bit of
perfect-
hunger
Yeah.
doesn't hurt.
Yes. A little bit of a drive and hunger. You're right.
Yeah.
So, how far after coming back and starting your business and working with technology and everything, what happened? How old were you when you got your MS diagnosis?
So I started having symptoms while I was in the military. And at one point in time, I was deployed to Panama, and I lost the lower half of my body. So I had no feeling or sensation. And I went to the doctor, and he prescribed me ibuprofen, and he allowed me to skip running for 2 weeks. So that was the extent of my medical treatment. So over the years, I had different warning signs that something was wrong, but they never lasted long enough, and the doctors really never figured it out. So in 2008, I started having problems, and I was not responding to treatment. At the time, I had I had a new primary care, and she said, "Why don't we send you to get an MRI just to make sure there's nothing structurally wrong?" And when they hooked me up to an MRI, they found a lesion on my spine, and that sent me to a neurologist. The neurologist did a bunch of tests, sent me to get a brain MRI, and there were additional lesions that were found at the time. So I got diagnosed in 2009.
Wow, 2009.
2009.
So you've been living with this for 15 years, 17 years.
Yes, but
17 years.
my initial problems go back to the late 1980s.
Right.
So unfortunately, what happens is the disease starts in one state, which is inflammatory, and over time it changes to a more progressive state. So early treatment is important, and I missed a lot of years of treatment.
Do you know what possibly could have caused MS? I know it's a autoimmune. Do you have any idea of what? I know this is what everybody's wondering
I know,
because
'cause now
MS
it's
is
like
so
it-
complicated.
Yeah.
It is very complicated.
So we do not know what causes MS. We believe the EBV virus makes people a little bit more susceptible. The problem is that over 90% of the world has EBV. So it's not very helpful.
No.
Right.
No.
So
When
we're
it's hard
still
to get
getting
diagnosed, it's so hard to get diagnosed. And so it's hard to get
takes
the early
forever.
treatment. And then you don't know what the cause, if you have the trigger.
Right.
Yes.
It's just so hard.
But diagnosis is getting better.
It is.
We get diagnosed. There's something called the McDonald criteria, and that's been updated several times. So diagnosis is more, they're happening quicker. Misdiagnoses are going down. Since MRI technology is very common today, it's easier to get diagnosed.
That's good. What have been some of your symptoms with, I know you said some numbness and different things of that. What are some other struggles you've been through with MS?
So MS has caused problems with my vision, which is pretty common. I had an attack where I lost the vision in the right eye. And when it recovered, I still have a partial blind spot. When I get overheated, when I'm stressed, when I'm sick, I start losing vision in that eye. And so it goes gray.
Wow.
And after it goes gray, it'll eventually go dark. So that's persistent. I have problems with my voice. That was affected by my big flare-up. Cognitively, I have challenges. Executive function is really a place where I struggle. For a lot of people, as the disease progresses, we have bowel and bladder problems. We have mobility problems. So essentially, what we look like is we look like an old person prematurely. So the problems that the geriatric community has, we have it. Unfortunately, we tend to have it when we're in our 40s and 50s.
Okay. Was there anything that you think from your military time in Desert Storm may have contributed to MS?
Well, a lot of things are possible. So when you get out of the military, they have a window where you can claim your problems are service connected. Most of those windows are 6 months. Some of them are a year. For multiple sclerosis, the window's actually 7 years. So even by the way they treat us, they acknowledge that there's an increased risk for multiple sclerosis. The one that is longer than that is ALS. So ALS is a lifetime window. So any veteran who gets ALS, they automatically service connect that person.
So we are big believers in that the body keeps the score. In other words, when you've had trauma from the past, a lot of times
birth and childhood. And your genetic line, if they had trauma, that all feeds into your ecosystem, if you will.
Yeah, your body's like an ecosystem.
Yes.
And do you feel like anything from your childhood or your past could have contributed to your MS diagnosis?
I really don't know. There are people in my community, they spend a lot of money, like at functional medicine, trying to find a root cause. Science will tell you there's no known cause, and that's okay with me. I'm not the kind of person that really looks back a lot. My concern more is, what can I do today? And what is the best way to move forward with life? So there's lessons to be learned in the past, but you can be entrapped by it as well.
Oh, that's
so profound.
That's so true. Thank you for sharing that. I do think this all ties in because I've read the whole book. And so it's like you had all these great educators help you get on your path. And I think it's helping you advocate for the MS community. I think it's kind of the fuel behind your advocacy. Do you feel that?
Well, I know what happened to me, and it's difficult to see. Earlier this year, we had a teaching at our church, and it was about your mission. And he left us with 2 questions. What wakes you up in the morning, and what breaks your heart? And what wakes me up every morning, obviously my faith, but I look at current events in multiple sclerosis. So I've been doing that for many years. I spend time doing that. And I share those stories in the community. But what breaks my heart is other patients, because multiple sclerosis, when it's advanced or aggressive, it's devastating. It breaks my heart to see other patients suffer. So I spend time trying to help them.
Yeah. Tell us more a little bit about your advocacy for the MS community.
So it started when I was in the diagnosis process. So coming from a tech support background, we're used to educating people, and we put together frequently asked questions. So when I was there, I noticed that there were some questions that were being asked all the time. And sometimes the answers they were getting back were inconsistent and sometimes wrong. So I started putting back together frequently asked questions, answers. And I started sharing that in the forums, and people liked it and they responded well. So I continued that process. So it started back then. And over time, that's just grown. And I've been blessed to be able to learn a lot. So now, what my life looks like is I get up in the morning, I review. I have a Google aggregator that sends me news because I'm too lazy to go look at 90 different sources. And I review that, and I post relevant things to relevant groups. So it's amazing what technology can do.
That's
So
incredible.
I can no longer travel, but my keyboard travels for me. So within a matter of minutes, tens of thousands of people can see my content. And I'm very grateful that it helps people. And I get to go into forums, and there's some questions that get asked, and they have a lot of responses. And I ignore those questions and the responses. I look for people who have not been responded to because they deserve answers to their questions.
Absolutely.
So even though my content right now, it reaches a lot of people, but I think if you forget the one person, that one individual, I think we're failing. So when I see that one person who's lonely and they're scared and afraid and nobody's answered my question, I take it as a mission to answer that question.
Oh, that's incredible.
Wow.
You're speaking to
Absolutely.
me about a couple of things. So, Shelly has a child with special needs, and we were talking about how, in colleges, when you're trying to submit your application to all the different colleges called the Common App, and they're all asking the same questions. We were like, well, that's friendly. And then with people with disabilities, they make it so hard. And I was like, why can't there just be one common app that you fill out and then you click which areas you want to send it to?
Yes.
I'm like, this would be so helpful. So let's say that
every camp, every doctor, every psychiatrist, every psychologist,
housing, financial support, you name it, medical.
Social Security. It's like,
I was just like, why can't there be a common app where you fill out one and then you click the agencies that it needs to go to? Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Wouldn't that be lovely?
That'd be lovely.
What an idea. So I love that you're using technology to add accessibility
Yes.
to people who, like you're saying, they might not have the ability to read through. Like with MS, you lose some of your eyesight sometimes. Or there might be another population that is struggling with other dexterity situations. You never know. So by providing that as like, hey, I'm going to be the person that kind of weeds through the news for you. Here's the highlights. And I'm also going to connect with you. I think one thing that we notice a lot, and Shelly's been bringing this up, and it just makes my heart feel so good that I have somebody like her that reminds me, is the isolation that people can feel.
Yes.
When either their bodies are having challenges, their brains are having challenges, or their emotions, maybe their mental health. So I feel like your advocacy is having people connect. And that's what
bringing everybody adjacent to each other.
Bringing everybody adjacent to each other, which is what our podcast is.
Yes.
Exactly.
One thing you talked about at the very beginning of your book is that when you miss the accessibility of Austin that it used to have. That you would ride your bike 20 minutes to the park, spin under the tree, leave your bike up against the fence. Nobody would steal your bike. There was just an unknown, like everybody knew the rules.
Exactly.
Now that accessibility in our big city has changed. And it's a sadness that I miss too.
Yes. And when you're struggling mentally, physically, otherwise, aging, what have you, it is even more.
Yeah.
It is even more isolating.
And not accessible.
It's not accessible. And so
I think you spoke to it so incredibly. Like, gone are the days of, But what I see is that still lives in you, that accessibility person. You're like, I want to bring people together. Yes. So, Marco, you're doing God's work.
You're doing a great job.
Well, we're all from here, so we were here before the marketing campaigns, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
exactly.
So, keep Austin weird. Well, that was just how we live life.
Yeah, we didn't know it was weird.
We didn't need a bumper sticker to tell us. We didn't need a T-shirt.
We did.
We didn't know salamander.
We didn't need to know what SOS.
We didn't need to know that 78704 was, where it was at.
Exactly.
We just all knew, really.
Well, we all grew up in there, so it was just
that 4-5 for two girls from the 4-5.
That was ours.
So incredible.
Wow. Okay. Before we let you go and let you move on your day, I just want to ask, you've been touched by so many people. And you've touched so many people.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You mentioned that you guys have a really nice gathering on weekends.
On Mondays.
On Mondays, sorry. At La Familia, right?
Yes.
And we asked, what's your favorite order? You said breakfast.
Same.
Which I loved. I remember when they would have breakfast at school, and I was just like, what? For lunch? This is radical.
Yeah. Pancakes at noon? This is great.
So how do you feel like you can keep people connected together as you're doing?
Yeah.
With your beautiful Mondays and your reaching out, what are things that we can do to help people feel connected?
Good question. Do you know, the personal network is most of us have built a personal network. You have a fantastic personal network.
Yeah.
But not everybody does that.
Yeah.
And then as they age or they have mental or
they fall
physical
yes.
changes, they become so isolated. And it's how important that personal network is to keep you going and keep you connected. Somebody's checking on you and how important that is. I know you're doing it on a global level, but can you speak to other people living with MS? How important?
Yeah. What are some pro tips to stay connected?
So in recent years, I've made a very concerted effort to grow my network because I didn't have all the help that I needed. And having a procedure, I've had a lot of surgeries, and next year I already have 2 surgeries scheduled.
Wow.
You need rides. Recently I was in the emergency room and we were talking about pain, and I said I cannot take any medications that restrict my ability to drive because I don't have anyone to take me home. So they couldn't give me the pain meds that they wanted to. It's an example of something we live with. So I think what happens is over time, when you have chronic illness, you have to tell people no, even when you want to say yes. And people remember that, and they stop inviting you places and they stop checking on you. So there's an attrition that happens over time. It's very unfortunate, and you get left alone. I think the best thing you can do is the people who you know have chronic illness, even if they don't, if they live alone, is just to check on them. It's the human thing to do. And to go sit with them, to schedule time. So I have some people in my life that I spend regular time with, and they check on me. I have neighbors that are used to seeing me, and if they don't see me for a little while, they'll actually come to my door. Are you okay? I left my garage door open one time. My neighbor came over and she said, are you all right? Um, I'm very blessed that I have people looking out for me. My neighbors, I have a fall monitor. She's the first person they call because she's the most available.
Mhm.
She's right across the street. Um, so I think as a person, if you have challenges like I do, you really need to take it upon yourself to start looking at where can I find connections.
Mhm.
And for people who know people like me, please make a point of reaching out to them.
Absolutely. I love that.
Even if they don't respond, the process of you checking in changes how they feel. It's like, do check in, even if some of our loved ones have limited communication, and it's like, just, hey, how are you doing? Thinking about you. A handwritten note for Graham.
Yes.
I mean,
She loves cards.
yeah, and just
Yeah.
check in, have a list of people that you check in on all the time, and just
Yes.
stay connected. I think it's so critical to our building community and staying adjacent, and helping people that need a little extra here and there. There's nothing wrong with that. That's humanity.
So
Yes.
important.
That's what this is all about.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like your connection with education, your connection with teachers, your connection with the soldiers, your connection with the MS community, and all, because there's a lot of people that you're connected with by doing the things that you're doing.
Loved
Can you
ones.
speak a little about your connection to faith, how that's affected your life?
Yes, absolutely. So faith is extremely important to me. Um, I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior many years ago. And there's a story in the Bible about his disciples were in a boat and a storm came and they were afraid and they woke him up and he calmed the storms and he saved them. Well, in my life, growing up, I had storms in my life and my teachers came to my rescue at the time. But the problems did not end when I left school. They continued and they got bigger over time. I got to the point in my life where I was the person in the boat asking for help. So I called on Jesus. And like he did with the disciples, he heard me and he rescued me. So that started a relationship. And he started to calm the storms in my life. And I had a front row seat to watch that happen. But he didn't calm all the storms. There were some left over. And what I learned through that process is sometimes he calms the storms and sometimes he changes
Yeah.
the person. So, but all through, even from the time I was born, I can see a providence. I can see a guiding hand, and I can see people coming into and out of my life when I needed them most. And that includes my teachers. So where I'm at today is spiritually, I'm in a good place. My own hardships have allowed me to see people in a way I never could have seen them before. I see their struggles. Because I've experienced love, it puts me in a position to extend that to other people. And I can love people that I never thought I could have before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's changed me. The blessing that I have is I'm able through my own experience, to help people in their storms. And just like people were there when I was a kid, I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to help people in their need. So that's where I'm at.
Well, how empowering.
I know. So lovely.
You're an incredible human. Thank you for sharing this time with us and your message. And if there's ever anything we can do for you, please let us know, because we must stay connected, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, with that being said, we're going to let you guys go. Get adjacent. Let's go.
Texas.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Oh, yay!